everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you are new here, my name is Anna. I am a portrait photographer in the Chicagoland area, and today we're going to be talking about surprise proposal photo shoots. I was hired by my soon-to-be brother-in-law Adrian, who wanted to photograph my older sister and have the candid moment of him getting down on one knee and getting her reaction. So I have a couple tips and tricks for the photographer and for the client in case you want to do a photo shoot just like this. For starters, the client and the photographer have to come up with a location, and with the photographer, you're going to have to make sure that you scout the area first and make sure that you guys both come to an agreement on where the client is going to be going down on one knee. I would suggest to find an area that is a little secluded and far away from others to make sure that they don't get into the photos, as well as somewhere that has a very nice background. When Adrian and I were deciding a location, we had initially were set on these specific trees that are in the gardens, but when we had gotten there, the trees weren't in full bloom yet, and we had to go with a backup plan, which is a really good idea to make sure that you and your client both have a signal to know exactly when to take those photos and when the client knows that the moment is ready. Adrian and I had settled on the word smile, and that is something that a lot of other photographers use, but I don't personally use. So throughout the entire shoot, I wanted to make sure that I wasn't using that word, not to confuse Adrian or your client, and make sure that they know exactly when the moment is happening. If you have any other ideas on specific cues, like maybe doing a hand signal or giving a specific word, that is going to be a good thing that you're going to have to let your client know, so that way you guys both are in agreement. Another thing to keep in mind is to find a private way to communicate with you and your client, so that way their partner doesn't see those messages. I settled on emailing Adrian and just using Google as a way to communicate with each other, because I did not want to text him as to possibly have my sister see those messages and get alerted or confused as to what's going on. Once Adrian and I had settled on a location, it was time to also include my sister in on the plans, and what I had mentioned to her was that this is just a couples shoot in order to update my portfolio, and this didn't raise any suspicion because I've already used them in the past, and this is going to be a good way for me to make sure that she doesn't understand what's going on. If you are a client reaching out to a photographer and you want to make sure that your partner isn't in on those plans, say something along the lines of it being a couple shoot and you are just photographing each other. Another thing that I want to mention for the clients is that you want to make sure that every detail is perfected for your partner. Just this past weekend, I had seen a surprise proposal and I had heard the girl crying about how she didn't have her nails done, and that can sometimes ruin the moment. So something as simple as making sure that their nails are done or maybe have their hair done is something that you might want to keep in mind and let your partner know about. In order not to raise any suspicion, I highly suggest to maybe offer some money to your partner to go to the nail salon as a way of doing a spa day or a self-care day. If you are planning on having the photographer a little far back and not causing any suspicion, if you are the type of couple that doesn't normally dress up, I would typically just say that it is a nice day outside and you guys could dress up as to change things up a little bit. Now, if you are hired as a photographer and your plan is to stay back, it's very important that you make sure you not wear any colors that are going to raise any suspicion or be very noticeable. So colors like red and yellow should be something that you try to stay away from, because someone might be able to catch on depending on the type of clothing that you're wearing. One thing to keep in mind when you are going to be a little farther back is you're going to have to pretend that you have some other intent instead of taking their photos. So you can pretend to be a nature photographer and take pictures of flowers or other things, or you can be a portrait photographer and take pictures of someone else. I have done a recent surprise proposal where I had one of their friends come with me and I was taking pictures of them while we were waiting for the cue to happen. Make sure you're at a reasonable amount of distance not to cause any suspicion, because if you're too far back, you won't be able to zoom in and get those good shots. But if you're too close, you might be raising some suspicion with the partner. You and your client have already established a location, so this is a good time for you to look at your surroundings and find anything that you can hide in, such as a tree or a bush. But always make sure that you still have enough sight to see your client. Once you give your client the signal, it is time to propose. You are just going to keep snapping and make sure you are capturing every moment. At this point, you can get closer to your client and their partner and start asking a lot of questions like if they knew this plan was happening, and find a way to establish a little bit of connection and communication between you and your client. This might be a time where the partner gets a little emotional and starts crying, so it's a good idea for you to crack some jokes and give them a little bit of rest time to fully process what's happening. At this point in time, you're going to be able to get some regular poses, like maybe having them walk towards you while holding hands and looking at each other, or even doing some detail shots like taking pictures of the ring. With these poses, you most likely will have to send them beforehand to your client so they can approve of them. If your client happens to have family members that are also coming and joining, this would be a good time to possibly do some group shots. I've also seen people take pictures of their client and their partner FaceTiming some family members, so this would be some also great candid shots that you can take as well. But that is the end of this video. If you like this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell to get notified every single time I post a new video. If you're interested in videos just like this, I have a playlist created where I talk over my photography tips and tricks, so that will be listed up here as well as in the description box below. If you're also interested in what I do in my free time, I have a travel playlist where you can travel the world with me and see what I do in my free time. But that is all that I have for you guys today. I hope you guys are staying safe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.